But we've got a story that we're moving on to right here of fewer criminals being sent to prison because they have to combat a 12,000 cell shortfall. We've been told by the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, that she wants to build a prison environment outside of the prison. Let's find out from Vanessa Frake, former prison governor, whether that's even possible. Vanessa, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. I mean, I have to say, my first thought on this is that if you want to build a prison environment, it's probably best to do it actually in a prison, isn't it?
Well, I would have thought so. I'm not quite sure how she chose those words.
Yes.
I mean, I do think that she needs to possibly rethink that strategy somehow.
Yes, I think so. But, I mean, the problem is that, you know, we have had this problem for a long time. You and I have spoken about it many times. It's not, I'm not just going to blame the Labour government, but they do seem to be just as clueless as the last lot as to whether or not to do anything. They seem reluctant to build more prison spaces, in other words.
Well, I mean, you know, look, building prisons is costly. The National Audit has just produced a report saying that actually they're over like 4.9 billion over budget.
Yes.
You know, as the delays happen, the costs are going to rise.
Yeah.
And you know, this is a result of negligence on previous governments for the last 20 years. You know, their policy on crime, longer sentences, more police, hasn't actually matched their penal policy, i.e. more prison places. And I think we're projected to have a prison population of over 120,000 by 2030. And, you know, this is why we've now got a shortfall of something like 12,500 places. And you know, the prison service as is not giving taxpayers value for money. It's not protecting the public by early releases. It's not ensuring that prisoners address their offending behaviour and don't reoffend. And it's certainly not fair to the staff that are working with these people.
No. I mean, Tim Montgomery was in here earlier. He's just gone from the Tories to Reform. He's moved over to a different party. But he was talking about some countries in Europe that have a slightly more imaginative approach, shall we say, to it, where they put people in prison maybe for the weekend. Now, I know you would probably say, we don't want to do that for serious criminals, and we certainly don't want to release serious criminals too early either. But is there some value in something like that, where you go, look, they can continue to remain part of society, if you like. They don't become completely lost into the system, and they still have a job and they still work, but at the weekends their fun is curtailed in some way. They go to jail.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at somewhere like Norway is a prime example. They used to focus on locking people up, and they had horrendous prison populations, horrendous reoffending rates. And they turned that around. They focused on reducing reoffending, which unbelievably, I believe we all want. What they do is they sort of had the link between homelessness, jobs, housing, all that sort of thing, support systems outside, and focused on those so that prisoners could have a home, have a job, support systems outside Monday to Friday, and go into prisons at the weekend. Now, I'm not talking for high-level violent offenders. No. I'm talking your low-level non-violent crimes here. Prison does have a place. It has a place in society to protect the public. Absolutely, it does, from repeat offenders and from violent crime. But there are a lot of prisoners, you know, if you put a drug addict in prison where drugs are rife, because our prisons are old, they're crumbling, they haven't got the modern technology to stop drugs coming in, you know, he's not going to address his offending behaviour, he's not going to address his drug habit. So something radical will have to happen. It will be an eye turner, there will be a lot of raised eyebrows. But the short of the matter is that we can't carry on as we are at the moment.
But I guess, talking about the drug dealer, I mean, he's not going to address his concerns about being addicted to drugs if he doesn't go to prison either, I presume. He's just going to carry on taking them. And I wonder about how many low-level offenders are actually making it into prison, because my understanding is that most people probably commit 25 to 30 offences before they get a jail term. Many people in prisons have been there because they've been in and out of prisons most of their lives, you know, and there's not... I mean, we saw when they started releasing those prisoners early under the summer rules that came in, most of the people were coming out saying either they haven't got anywhere to go, didn't have anywhere to live, you know, would probably be back committing crimes. I think 75% of those who got released early were back in because they went straight back to a life of crime, because they are quite sort of heavy-duty criminals. Even if they're not violent criminals, they're, you know, recidivist burglars, that's what they do for a living. They're never going to change. But the problem is, Mike, is that the support systems outside, you know, we've got a probation service that is dreadfully understaffed, overworked, many hundreds of cases per probation officer, and they can't be supervised properly. And the community service is neither here nor there. So actually, what we need to look at is focusing more on managing these people outside of prison. You know, stringent drug testing, stringent tagging, curfews, you know, really sort of managing them with almost like a military style management of them outside to give them the support and the structure that they need. Yes. No, I think anything's worth a try at this point, because clearly we've reached the point of no return, it would seem to me. Vanessa, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Vanessa Frake, former prison governor there, who knows a thing or two about what's going wrong with the prison system. Because let's face it, it's been going wrong for a long time. Isabel Oakeshott was just talking about how the Tories have now realised that they have been kind of holed below the waterline, if you like, because of what's happened with immigration in this country. But also, you'd have to say what's happened to the prison system as well, which was never brilliant, but is now particularly not fit for purpose, it seems to me. And that's the problem of having the justice system, the Home Office, and all of its surrounding parts and moving parts just all completely seizing up, it would seem to me.